What's going on, guys? My name is Justin Lugo and I'm a wedding filmmaker here in Central Florida. And today I'm talking about the Sony A7IV. So I picked up this camera back when it released last year, and I've pretty much been shooting everything exclusively with it since then. I didn't want to give my impressions on it back then just because I wanted to use it in the field before I gave my thoughts on the camera. Now, several weddings, engagements, and elopements later, I'm ready to give my thoughts on the camera. I'll get the cons out of the way because for me, there's just one con. And if you've researched this camera at all, then you probably know what it is. It's the 4K 60 crop. We're here in Florida and I typically shoot a lot of weddings outdoors. And for me, the 4K 60 crop isn't an issue in a lot of situations. It's only at times when you're indoors and you don't exactly have room to back up that you have a problem. Now, to avoid this, obviously you can shoot on wider lenses, and that pretty much solves a problem right there. If you're looking at it from the perspective of a new Sony shooter who may be considering this camera and wants to avoid the crop, they can just obviously buy a wide angle lens. The problem is when you combine the price of this camera plus say a 16 to 35, you're creeping up into the Sony A7IV territory. And in my opinion, if you're just shooting video, you should save the money and just go for that camera instead. I shot on it a lot last year, and the 4K 60 is awesome, the 4K 120 is awesome, and it's just an overall better camera for video in my opinion. If you are a hybrid shooter, then definitely you want to consider something like this. With that one con out of the way, everything else about this camera is pretty awesome. One of the big additions is the new body of this camera. It's a lot thicker. It feels a lot better in the hand than the A7III did, that's for sure. I've come from shooting digital SLRs, so I kind of like bigger cameras. These Sonys are really small for me. This one actually feels really good in the hand. It's much better than the A7III grip. The autofocusing system is great. It's actually improved from the A7III. I shot on that camera a lot as well, and although I never had an issue with the autofocusing, this one is definitely better. It acquires focus a lot faster and it tracks your subject way better than the A7III did. One of the other awesome things is the touch focusing. So just like the S3 and the FX3, you can just tap on your subject and the camera will track that subject. Actually, I have been using it a lot for gimbal shots, especially like when people are walking down the aisle. I like to kind of walk alongside them. It's so easy to just tap the screen and it tracks your subject for you. So that's a huge improvement. In terms of battery life, I haven't done any scientific tests, but I'm pretty sure this battery drains a lot faster than the A7III. I've shot both of them at a wedding recently and noticed this one's battery draining a lot faster. It could be the 4K 60, it could be the screen, the EVF, who knows. It's by no means a bad battery, it's just noticeably less efficient than the A7III. In terms of the ISO performance, it's on par with the A7S III. Until you get around like 12,800 ISO, then the A7S III just kills this thing. Typically, I don't shoot at those high ISOs because I light my scenes most of the time, so it's not a big deal for me, but that's just something to keep in mind. One of the other cool features of this camera is the focus mapping. I don't actually use it a lot except for like macro shots, and I don't do those too often, but it's nice that it's there. I think it's a lot better than focus peaking. For me, it's faster, easier to see, especially like when you're in a dark reception room and you're trying to get ring shots and it's really dark and it's hard to kind of see, you know, what you're focusing on. Focus mapping makes it a lot easier. That's pretty much gonna do it, guys. This camera is awesome. I'm gonna be rocking it for the rest of the year, and maybe I'll update my impressions on it after a year of use. Like I said, the only con I have on the camera is the 4K 60 crop. A lot of times you can just back up or shoot on a wider angle lens. If you don't have one of those, then maybe consider getting another camera just because you're creeping up into the territory of the A7III. Maybe even go for an FX3. I shot that a lot last year as well. Really awesome camera. That's gonna do it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm gonna be doing a lot more wedding industry insight kind of videos. There's a lot of tutorials and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing those, but I think coming at this channel from a business perspective can really help people to book more clients, and that's kind of what I want to focus on. So maybe I'll throw in some reviews here and there.